All right, so we're going to talk about the Lexus LX that was just revealed. Thank you, Sideshot, for bringing that to our attention. I think we may have known a little bit about it, but you're a little bit more excited than we were. This is like the 4th generation, and previous to that, the 3rd had like maybe 2 or 3, maybe even 4 facelifts. But this was a completely over the top change, man, I think, in comparison to what the old LX was. Would you guys agree with that?
I would say so.
Yeah, so, well, Lexus is telling us it is, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that they have changed. And I'm going to get the hate mail. Here we go. You ready for this?
Let's have it, man.
I'm going to get the hate mail.
This is what we do.
My first honest response when I watched their reveal was... And first of all, when Lexus does these reveals, and they've done this to us before, it's kind of like they just drop a 3-minute video, like a commercial on YouTube. Like, there's not this, like, you know, when Ford does a release, for example, like on the F-150 Lightning, it was an event, right? Same with the Mach-E.
Yeah.
Nissan did the new Z, right? The Proto Z.
Right.
It was a big event.
Even the Frontier was a nice event as well.
Lexus was like, here's your new commercial.
I mean, I expected it to be pretty long.
They did the same thing with the Tundra, right? So
especially... And to that point, though, Keith, sorry for breaking in on you, but to that point is that when you have a flagship vehicle like this come out with a completely redesigned, even underpinning, the whole 9 yards. I mean, this is on a new platform for them. It's now on the Tundra platform, which makes sense for them from a global economic standpoint. I get that. But to not offer this vehicle, and there were a lot of really upset Tundra owners that were looking forward to that Tundra coming out, but what's missing here? What's missing?
Well, you're talking engine, right?
I am talking engine, yes.
I gotta say, my first response when I saw this thing, I'm gonna get slugged for this. I looked at it and I went, yeah, it looks the same as the other one. It looks the same as the last body style to me. I know, you guys, I know there are some subtle changes, but you can look at that thing and you instantly know it's an LX.
That's what they want, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think they, and that's a good point, Sideshot, that they don't want to lose identity with themselves in that regard. There are some subtle changes. Now, if you take a look at the NX that they teased us and brought out, several months ago, the rear tail lights are very similar to the LX and NX, and then everybody's got that one mono light across the back that goes all the way across the back. I don't understand that.
This is going to be one of these things, Jay, where we're going to look back on it in a decade, and it's either going to be like, oh yeah, that was cool, or ooh, that's so dated. You know, it's going to be it's definitely a style defining feature of this era. Okay, so engine. So they're doing the same thing they did with the Tundra. There is no V8 option. That's where you were leading with this, right?
That's exactly right. It's going to be the V35A
twin turbocharged V6.
That's correct. And the
3.5 liter if you're counting.
That is correct. 3.5 liter delivery cam, twin turbo. However, I think the horsepower they're going to be getting out of this thing is around 409. Which is up from the standard iFORCE V6 that they're putting in the Tundra. I think when you get into the iFORCE Max Tundra 3.5 liter, that hybrid is going to have similar horsepower output as this Lexus. Now, the difference between that Tundra and this one is the Tundra is a bit detuned. This one is a little more tuned. So
Toyota is known to do that, and they typically do it to help with engine longevity.
Correct. And also there's going to be some EPA requirements that have to be met. How do you do that? You have to adjust the tuning in order to meet the criteria. I'm going to say this, and you're probably going to think I'm crazy here for saying this, Keith, but and maybe you will as well, Side Shot. But when I looked at this thing, I thought to me it appeared to be a bit bigger than the old one, and it seemed to be a bit more square-bodied than the old one. So the lines were not as rounded; they were more refined.
Yeah.
And you could see that in the hood. The hood itself doesn't have that round down nose, right?
No one has ever cared on this vehicle about aerodynamics. That's just not what this thing's about. You don't buy this SUV if you're concerned about fuel economy. And it was the same with the Land Cruiser, which has been discontinued.
Well,
right? Like,
yes.
This is not a car that you go, what's the MPG, right? Like, this is flagship luxury. You know, and some of the luxury from the inside, it looks like they're utilizing that extra space with some interesting things, right?
And so at first I was like, actually, from a distance, it looked like the car was small. I don't know what that was. But I got it when the camera got up close to it, I was like, wow, this is a big car. I'm wondering what they're going to do with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good point. And to that point, I think the luxury version of this thing is going to come standard with 22-inch wheels on it, man, which is pretty incredible.
It's not an off-road. It's just not really designed. I mean, you could take it camping, but it's not like an overland.
It's not what you would hope for, even though it is equipped with, what is it? What do they call it? The MTS. The crawl features and those sorts of things, the drive modes that are that you have, like in the TRD package of the Tacoma. I think the Tundra TRD package also had that as well. But this is nothing new to this model. I think that previous years had the same drive modes and stuff. Now we're just dealing with a different powertrain as well as a transmission setup. This is a 10-speed automatic transmission, so it's designed it's designed around being able to take it off-road, and they give you that because they have the height adjustments.
I can't wait for the comments on this one. I'm going to get a ton of, well, you said you couldn't. No, it's not what I said. I didn't say you couldn't take it off-road. I just said it's not really targeting the overlanding crowd. Okay, let's just be clear. We welcome your comments, everyone. Please, please and thank you, and make sure you hit the subscribe button on the way. Jay, it's weird having to talk to two people instead of just me, isn't it? It's a little disconcerting.
It is, but I think it broadens our horizons. It gets different opinions, and I know that's what we're in store for. So, Side Shot, you were about to say.
So yeah, it's not the perfect off-roader, but if you want to take it on like an easy trail or something, maybe it was near your house, you probably wouldn't take it up a mountain. But it's trying to be a good off-roader.
You could.
But it's also kind of turning into like a VIP car.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much you want to beat up a nice luxury SUV like that, by taking it off-road.
Well, and speaking of the VIP car, there is a VIP setup for this thing. And if you looked at the interior of this thing, it's just amazing. Some of the the creature comforts that you have with this thing, the technology that has gone into this. First of all, they have a 12.3 inch upper screen, and then a 7-inch lower screen. Which obviously adds to that experience that you're going to have across the board. You can control everything from the front of the cabin. At your fingertip.
If you don't put that feature in now, you're like, I think you're to the point where you're losing sales.
Absolutely, you are. But it's well thought out in space, I think, because if you notice the front passenger seat will go all the way up and fold down and get itself just basically virtually out of the way if you're going to lower that rear passenger seat to carry, say, some a ladder or something, something a little bit longer than usual. The one thing that I found odd about it, though, which most of the SUVs are going in this direction, maybe I just can't see it or I missed it, but did you see a split tailgate on this thing? I did not.
It's easy to miss in like the very short, footage that we had. I did not see it, but are you gonna want that? I mean, I guess you would. You could potentially want that in a luxury.
I think so. I think to some degree in this day and time with a vehicle like this, it's kind of necessary because it becomes a little bit more utilitarian if you have that. I mean, let's face it, the Ford Bronco full size has it.
Now,
yeah,
they might, and everybody stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed. When this information becomes available, we'll let you know for sure. But I could potentially see this being a deal where, depending on the package that you get, right, or the grade, as Lexus calls it, some of them may have that split tailgate configuration, right?
Right.
So you might have to upgrade your package to get that. Now Lexus says right now we know there's going to be 5 grades. 5. I'm holding my hand up to show 5.
That's right.
Right.
That's a good range.
So here they are. Do you know what they are? You want me to call them out?
I don't know what they are.
So standard, of course, right? Premium, luxury, and first ever, and this is a big deal to people like this, F Sport on the LX. Not everyone had
a big deal.
F Sport on the LX.
I did see that.
And ultra luxury, right?
Yeah.
So getting F Sport on their flagship SUV, which typically, I think it was first introduced in, like, what was it, the NX? It was one of the smaller ones.
Yeah.
I think it was the NX.
So there you go. It's made its way all the way up to the top now.
Yeah. So side shot, question for you. Now, with the F, how do you see that one selling in comparison to just the luxury models?
I think so, based on like what I've seen and how many people buy that F Sport out of, I don't know, like maybe it even just the SUVs like an RX or an NX, I think that'll do well for them. You know, it's not going to be like every one you see out there, but I'm thinking a lot of people will like that because it looks a lot sportier.
Right, and you know why I think they did that? I think it's a great marketing strategy for them with this particular vehicle. Why is that? Because I think that they're going to attract a lot of older buyers, older generation for the flagship luxury version of this thing. But then you can appeal to that, say, 30-something or 40-something crowd with an F-Sport version of this. And I think it was a wise decision on their behalf. And I think they'll keep it reasonably priced. I don't think it'll be out of line with anything else out there, because you're going to get a lot with that anyway. One thing that I noticed on the luxury version of this thing was those 2 back seats. They're like almost like captain's chairs.
Yeah, we're looking at a picture of them now, and they do look. I mean, okay, so on the one hand, you're giving up seating capacity, which is such a huge deal in the automotive industry. Like, manufacturers are just scared to have, if they don't have that 3 people in a row seating, it's like, oh, we're going to lose a sale, right? Because I got 3 kids or whatever.
Right.
Lexus is taking the approach on this vehicle that they're okay with that. Like, hey, man, this is a luxury vehicle. It's to transport. I mean, it's not a soccer mom-mobile, right?
No, it's an elite model. In my opinion, it's up there with the Cadillac Escalade or the Tahoe. Those types of vehicles. And again, those are vehicles that are not really necessarily designed for the utilitarian side of it that it's capable of. It's more geared towards that comfort level. And it becomes what we call a VIP type car.
Yeah.
And so again, Side Shot brought this up earlier in this segment that's what he felt like it looked like the direction it was going in. And I don't disagree with that, because some of the other features on the back seats are those massage functions. You can physically control you can massage your lumbar. You can get a full body workup, man. It's just insane. I mean, you can put people to sleep in the back seat, no problem with that stuff, man.
Well, here you go, man. Realtors have historically loved this vehicle anyway. And it's a little bit of an expensive ride to do like an Uber or Lyft in, but hey, if you request the premium transportation, here you go.
So, I mean, kind of talking on that, I have a question for either of you. Do you know if they will have, in the second row, 3 seats on any of the grades?
Ooh,
that's a good question, and we'll
sure you hit subscribe, everybody, and we'll give you an update.
And we will look into that. There may be But I don't know why they would want to do that with this one. But that doesn't mean that there is maybe in the sport version of it they do.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, I do think if it is like, let's say you're a realtor who has 3 kids, right? And so you need that duality of, right? And you might want a full bench in the back seat or something like that.
That's right. Yeah, and that is a strong possibility. Here's the thing that I know that's gonna get Keith. He's either gonna chuckle or
if the Braves hat didn't get me already. Go ahead, buddy.
Right. He's either gonna chuckle at me about this, but I just kind of think that, and you have heard us say this over and over again. We are continuously watching these. They're taking polls. They're live polling their customer base. And when Toyota said, okay, no more Land Cruiser, there was a lot of upset people out there. And the thought was, well, maybe they'll come back with it. We don't know. We haven't heard that for certain. But how do you go about changing that vehicle from what it was to what it's going to be without doing some live testing? How do you do that? You might go to your luxury flagship line and go over there and start trying out some of the features that are on this LX, this new LX, that could show itself up in that Land Cruiser. So we'll see. And because the first thing I told you so. The first thing that crossed my mind when I saw this, this could end up replacing the Land Cruiser. Some of this technology.
I just intentionally marked that there, so we can just come back to that little "I told you so" in 6 months. Okay, so you're probably right, and I would agree. Toyota, we've pointed to this. The parent, like I guess technically Toyota is the parent company of Lexus. That they have sort of laid back and watched and waited and gauged. Live polling is a term, Jay, you like to use. Right. I think this is no different. I think, when they made that announcement of the Land Cruiser being discontinued, and at some point early on, we thought, ooh, well, the LX may not continue either. Right. And then shortly after, Toyota said, no, we're going to continue that one. So now, a couple key details here that tie into that, right? So what do you typically do? Like Jay said, you do it in your flagship platform first. Why? Like Jay said, to help absorb some of that cost, right? So it's more expensive to retool your line, to redo all these things. You have to do that on your premium vehicles first to absorb that cost. Okay, so new platform here, GA-F is GAF is what they're calling the platform for this one. It's 441 pounds lighter than the previous generation, which is, I think, a pretty big deal. I feel like most of that's probably because of the loss of that V8 engine, but I agree. Yeah, some of the underpinnings are different. With the same body, the platform they're using is a Tundra that helped them out. And Lexus loves this whole body on frame thing. They love to point to that body on frame. Like that's just their big, And part of, I think, one of the things that makes this thing so cool is because they have stayed true to its roots, and the way it was built from the very first generation, people just loved that platform. And they've been very careful to not deviate too far from that. Again, people don't care that it's a brick. People just don't care.
They don't care. They like the luxury, the comfort, the VIP feel that they get with that. Now, where it could not be truer than another region of the world, which is Saudi Arabia. The Saudi Arabians absolutely love Toyota and Lexus. The LX has been a desirable vehicle for their demographic. Yep. And so I think that, I think a lot of people in this country get a little lost in thinking that we're the only ones out there, when Toyota is secretly and Lexus is secretly back there making Land Cruisers for other customer bases as well as...
Those oil barons have to get around somehow, man.
That's right. So to say that we'll never see another Land Cruiser, I think, is completely wrong. I think we will. It'll come back, and I think that what you are seeing right now is a tidbit of what it may look like in, say, 2 years. We'll see, 2-3 years. So throw that out there again if you'd like, and we'll see, because I will tell you so. I'll just say that.
I told you so.